In this demo, we're going to look at how GeoAI can be used for rapid damage assessment, specifically here in Nairobi. In March to May of 2024, Kenya experienced extreme flooding. Some areas received a half a month's rainfall in just 2 days. In Nairobi specifically, over a quarter of the city is considered flood prone. And by looking at this World Pop total population data, we can see that it has over 5.3 million residents within the boundaries of Nairobi. More than 60% of these residents live in informal settlements, which means that those flood-prone areas are often areas that put informal settlements at risk. The impact in Nairobi was severe. Around 300 people died, and more than 55,000 households were displaced. In order to assess this damage, we're going to take a look at the pre- and post-flood imagery and its overall impact on these settlements. Here, we can zoom in a little bit and swipe to directly compare and identify those areas where the informal settlements were completely damaged and destroyed. In order to classify the imagery, we're going to segment the imagery into polygons, so we can then feed each image chip into a deep learning model, trained to classify each one. We're going to assign the classes as damaged and undamaged, and then add additional context. We're going to use an underlying vision classification model and explain that this area shows informal settlements in Nairobi after a flood, and describe what we'd like to classify in terms of damaged and undamaged data. For example, if we just see dirt, we want that to be identified as damaged areas. This deep learning model is utilizing our AI connection to OpenAI, where it can interpret all of that additional context we've given it. And then, once we've run our model, it'll classify those polygons as damaged and undamaged. This is our test area, and we can see that it's correctly identified most of the damaged area. So we can then apply this at a larger scale and view our entire damage extent. This will show us the tessellated areas that have experienced high damage from these floods. Once we have this data, we may want to combine this damaged area information with additional data sources. So to do so, we're actually going to share our damaged area classification to our ArcGIS Online organization. We can, of course, make any changes to our names, or summary, or tags, but we're going to go ahead and just publish this up with an owner sharing level. This is then going to allow us to interact with this in web maps, dashboards, and in the next video, we're going to talk about using an AI assistant to interact directly with this and other data layers. Once we've published this layer to the web, we can see the standard overview page for our data. With the most recent update in ArcGIS Online, we now have the ability to quickly update this metadata so that it'll be AI ready. These AI assistants need to be able to interact with plain language in the metadata, like the title, the summary, the description, and even tags. So this new metadata suggester is actually going to take a look at that data that we have and suggest exactly that, so that in a few seconds, we can actually have AI assistant ready data. The next element of having AI assistant ready data is field names and properties that are in plain language. Now, with the new suggest tool, we can update that display name, description, and even the field type. This is going to generate those suggestions so that it can accurately interact with any assistant that we bring to this data. We can review and save those fields so that this data set is now ready to be added directly to a map, and we can interact with it using an AI assistant.